welcome to the show. Good evening. Very hearty welcome to tonight's edition of the program. Tonight we'll be talking international relations again. We'll be talking about La Cote d'Ivoire, the biggest story for us in West Africa. Of course, those in North Africa also have Tunisia to deal with, but we have La Cote d'Ivoire, and so that will be our first port of call tonight. Interestingly, we do have an interview with Mr. Laurent Gbagbo, which we will show to you tonight. And let's see whether you will think the same after you have seen the interview. So here is the interview that was recorded at the weekend at the Presidential Palace in La Cote d'Ivoire. Laurent Gbagbo was the interviewee. Myself and Laurent Gbagbo were the questioners. Here it is. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the opportunity. My name is Paul Adom-Otchere. My colleague is Raymond. The little French I can share with you is Monsieur Président, merci beaucoup.
Merci, merci. Merci aussi.
Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity. Happy New Year.
Merci.
For the rest of the time that you have with us, we'll be asking you questions about the election, questions about international relations. We'll ask you questions about the rebellion in the north, and we'll ask you questions generally about ECOWAS and the world. First of all, I want to find out from you the important question about the financial threat that has come from the ECOWAS, the French group with the bank in Senegal. It has been reported that at some point they will work to prevent you from being able to access money to run the country. And we also know that an ambassador has been appointed to the UN that was not appointed by you. How do you relate to this threat?
I will start with the second question. I think that the crisis that we are encountering is a crisis. It's a small crisis. It's an ordinary crisis. It's a post-electoral crisis that you can see everywhere. Just to give you an example, in 2000, there was a post-electoral election in the United States. But the first electoral conflict between Al Gore and George W. Bush. It took 2 months. They did the counting, the recounting of the votes, and finally, the president of the Supreme Court, who was very close to the Bush family, proclaimed that Bush was elected, and that put an end to the dispute. The difficulty of our situation here is that countries who are out of our African borders, France to be more specific, and the international organization are interfering with our local problem, and that's what makes it a bit complicated. How can Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the United Nations, receive the accreditation, the credentials of an ambassador who has been appointed by my opponent, who does not even take an oath here? So he's not president of this country, because in our constitution, the most important act that makes you president of the republic is that you take your oath before the Constitutional Council. But it's not their problem. They just do whatever they do. This is what makes our crisis here very complicated. But we will resolve all these problems, and we will handle. They also mentioned that we will not have the signature for the money. The Central Bank of West African countries, there are 8 countries in this Central Bank: Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, Benin, and Togo. It is this bank, the central bank, that has our currency, that holds the currency of the 8 countries. We did fight so that the central bank, as all the central banks states outside out of politics, of political turbulence, political trouble, to keep their credibility. And the meeting of the head of states of this central bank will take place on the 22nd. That means next week in Mali, because it is the President Amadou Touré, who is now the chair. I've been invited to this meeting. We will go there and we will take the decisions. If not, it's not the central bank that pays our civil servant. It is the economic production of each country that provide resources which helps to pay ours. In December, the same people, the same bad-mouthed people, say that we will not be able to pay our civil servant. We pay them. In January, they are screaming, we will pay them. But I want to say that we will discuss this issue on the January 22nd in Bamako. But we have to leave central banks out of politics.